Welcome to the AI Applied podcast. Today, guys, we are talking about AI and politics, something that is just increasingly kind of coming head to head these days. Connor was recently writing on LinkedIn about Bernie Sanders' proposed moratorium on halting all data centers in the United
Mhm.
States. Connor was not impressed. And this is actually kind of an interesting topic because both of us feel like this is a very nonpartisan sort of conversation. Connor's more liberal, I'm more conservative, and yet both of us are just trying to call spades and call out the craziness that is happening in the industry. I'm going to kick this over to you, Connor, to talk about. You had a post that went super viral on LinkedIn about this. Tell us your thoughts on should we stop all data center construction in the U.S.
This is so, guys, behind the scenes, like Jaden and I, it's we just have like very different like views on a lot of things and very similar views. Like I think Jaden and I like feel that very strongly about sort of like big things. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we have our AI and faith podcast. There's no sponsors or anything like that. Like, we just like kind of like doing it. But on one of the things, like, yeah, like I'm sort of like lean much more liberal. Jaden leans much more conservative. Like it's just, but here's here's a topic that we can come together on, and I think bring at least the AI applied co-hosts together on, if not America. And that is this whole idea that Bernie Sanders and AOC are introducing legislation that imposes, as Jaden said, this federal moratorium on the constructions of new data centers until strong national safeguards are in place. Guys, I have no problem with Bernie Sanders. Look, you want to sort of like me to show my cards? Am I going to vote for Bernie? No, I'm not going to vote for Bernie. Okay. But here's the thing. I have no problem with the guy, but this is absolute lunacy. And it actually goes, Jaden, to this whole point that we are doing sort of like in AI and in politics right now, which is confusing sentiment and reality. And I get it. That's politics, all that kind of stuff. I get almost like flustered trying to talk about this because I don't even know where to start. But I will say this. It was like, this is an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal that he talked about this. And he's using these sentiment stats to justify this thing. Like, there's real legitimate concerns, Jaden, to be concerned about the AI impact. You and I have talked about it a ton, right? But this is much more like, hey, like these boogeyman are taking our job or something like this. So here's the thing, like Bernie Sanders like starts with like these Quinnipiac polls about like 55% of Americans think AI will do more harm than good. 70% think it will lead to fewer jobs. Who cares? Yes, is that true? Yes, probably is true. And then he's like quoting like Jeffrey Hinton saying like, hey, Jeffrey Hinton said AI could wipe out humanity. And here's the other thing. Of course, he doesn't mention that, Dennis Hassabis won the Nobel Prize for like solving protein folding, which is probably going to save like tons of lives and all that kind of stuff. And then Jaden, here's the other thing. God, this is turning into a rant on AI applied. I get it, but I will stop in a second. Jaden, this is the coup de grace. Bernie Sanders quotes as his source, who? Elon Musk. It's got to be the first time in history where Bernie's like, guys, listen to Elon Musk, okay? Elon is the voice of reason. Can we all just pause and listen to Elon? Because he's saying like AI and robots will replace all jobs and things like that. Okay, Jane, I'm going to stop here, I promise. But here's the part that just burns me up about all this. There's actual real things to be concerned about, right? With AI taking jobs. How is it going to impact our kids? When I get asked in front of people, like, do you think it's going to kill critical thinking? I'm like, maybe, right? When people say, like, do you think this is going to take entry level work? I'm like, yeah, maybe. Like, I want to be real with the organizations and people that I work for and work with, rather, who are clients of AI Mindset. But what's not helpful is to say everybody feels like this, so we should stop building data centers for AI. It's such a wrong way of looking at it, and it feels like such a political take that drives me nuts. Jaden, I am all over the place this morning. You take it from here.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, I think at the end of the day, China's not going to stop building data centers for AI. So, like, if we want to stop building data centers, sure, other countries will do it. We'll just have to pay them money. And some of those other countries might be political or other adversaries. So, if that's the situation you want to be in, that's kind of where you'd end up. Obviously, we want the AI. Every American is using ChatGPT. We have the demand. It's kind of like, actually, I freaking love electric cars. I like Teslas. I'll own one at some point. You'll see me riding around in a Cybertruck. But I don't love everyone that's like, they're like, gas powered cars are horrible, and then they drive to work in a gas powered car every day. I just think it's hypocrisy. Likewise, I bet you most of Bernie Sanders' staff is using ChatGPT, and yet here they are. I just got to read the title of his op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. I thought it was hilarious. It's AI is a threat to everything the American people hold dear. It kills jobs, equality, connection, democracy, and maybe the human race. Okay, I think probably Wall Street Journal got lots of good clicks on that, but I don't think it's incredibly accurate. Now, like you mentioned, I think there are a lot of really important lot of really important issues, and I think there's actually a bunch of interesting ones that are going through different state legislatures right now that are worth talking about. If you go look at states like Oregon, Hawaii, Colorado, and Arizona, and Nebraska, all of them have some version of two different bills that are kind of moving through. One is AI disclosure bill, which I am thrilled. I'm totally fine with that, right? Basically, if I'm talking to customer support, it needs to tell me it's AI. If I'm talking to an AI salesperson that calls me on the phone, it should identify itself as AI. I don't like companies trying to like sneak around and hide the fact because maybe they think you won't trust it as much or something. Like, well, maybe we shouldn't trust it or we should know, right? So I like the disclosure. I think we follow the exact same precedent that you see in advertising disclosures. So it's like it feels like a lot of precedent in the industry. Basically, if
Mhm.
an influencer is going to promote a product on Instagram or on any social media platform, they got to do hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored. Like, they just got to let you know that it's sponsored. I think that is great precedent. We could do something very similar with AI, any AI generated content on platforms. And like, I tend to think it's less important for like, oh, wow, I saw an AI generated dolphin on Instagram. Like, I don't care too much about that.
Right.
But I do think customer support, sales, a lot of these things where people are like talking or, especially something calling you on the phone, you want to know if it's AI generated. So I have no problem with the disclosure bill like that. The second thing that I see a lot of these states putting through right now, all the states I just mentioned, is child safety guardrails. It's actually very bipartisan. Liberal states, conservative states, basically all of them. I think it's one of the rare areas where there's a lot of, it's very bipartisan. And they basically say, like, look, for children and for minors, AI cannot talk about like all of these different things. I mean, it's just like ratings at a movie theater. But it's you just don't want. There's so many issues that we see. There's so many lawsuits happening with children and safety. So I'm fine with kind of like children and minors, and some of the guardrails we might want to put on place for kids. And then I'm also fine with the AI disclosure things. Those are getting pushed through almost all states. Now, what's interesting is it does kind of create this patchwork, which is annoying for AI
Mhm,
companies because
mhm.
now you got to work with this patchwork throughout all the different states. But I think eventually that like those types of laws just lead to a federal rule. So if enough states pass those kind of things and it's kind of annoying for the AI companies, a federal rule will come by and kind of settle that, and then we'll be able to follow it throughout everywhere. So those I think are helpful. Stopping all data centers, less helpful.
It's less helpful because what does it mean? Also, the with the vague, with sort of like the vague definitions that they're using, which is like, until we figure out like how it's more safe. What does that look like? I mean, like, let's say that we buy into this idea. It's like, well, until we figure out like how jobs are going to really be impacted, et cetera, et cetera. What does that do? What we talk about all the time, Jaden, you and I talk about this, and we talk about it at, when we talk to big companies at AI Mindset and places like that. It's like they always say like, well, what are the big companies doing? And I'm like, I can share what other big companies are doing, but it's not actually going to be that relevant for you, right? Because like you have to figure out how your people are going to use AI, because AI is not one big thing. AI is not like a hedge fund algorithm where everybody can use it and it's going to speed up everybody at the exact same pace. AI is a new way of thinking, right? AI is a way that you are going to take whatever you do well and make sure that your people are using it to really not just increase productivity, but really rethink how they're working. That's the best people who are using it, and it's so unevenly distributed across any organization, let alone from organization to organization. So that's why we always pause when people say, "Can you just tell us best practice?" So now apply that here. If people are like Bernie are saying, hey, listen, until we can figure out what's going on, until we can figure out like what's safe, what's that going to do? Because there's going to be wildly different definitions of safe. Even if we pause for 6 months to do like a big study on what AI could do, the point is nobody knows what AI can do. They're treating it as if it's, we're replacing like the horse with the automobile or something like that, where everybody's going to be using an automobile in basically the same way. It's sort of like there's an algorithm where you could judge how much faster and how much more efficient a car is than a horse. That's not AI. AI works individually for every single human doing completely different things. We're just talking about sort of like the one person, $1 billion startup, that kind of thing that like we've been waiting for forever. All these things are starting to happen. So there is no one definition. There isn't something like that. It's not even like climate change where we can sort of like start to judge like, okay, well, we think this is going to happen, so we should probably put these regulations in place. Even that makes more sense to me than this. So I guess like the frustration that I'm feeling is you're right. There's no solid definition. We are going to absolutely screw ourselves if we start to slow down AI. And yet, here we are in a political landscape. We live with this. This is what people are going to do. This is what politicians are going to do. I think disclosure is always good, especially in politics. I think that that really works. Jaeden, I don't know. I mean, we can close this out here, but like, and apologies to everybody who had to hear me just like scream and like spitting on the. Jaden's like, are you like spitting on the webcam right now? But yes, I am. Sorry, I get passionate about this. I just think that we're approaching that the wrong way when there's real issues to be sort of like really addressed, and we're just taking this political stance. It drives me crazy.
100%. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode, the number one thing that would make our hearts happy and finally make us not feel so upset about Bernie Sanders is if you could leave a rating and review on the show. It would warm our hearts, restore our chi. Over on Apple, it's you can just drop a comment. We read them all. We appreciate them all. And on Spotify, it's the About tab. If you hit that, you can drop some stars. Anyways, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you all, and we'll catch you in the next episode.